The RPG After Years is part of the We Can Make This Work Probably Network. Find out more at probablywork.com.
Nothing in this world can prepare you for this. You have been chosen by the Elder Gods as a representative of Earthrealm to record in the podcast of the century. Every season, the best podcasters from around the world are assembled to review, reminisce, and riff on a popular franchise. On the latest season of Podcasters Assemble, with the imminent release of the latest highly anticipated Mortal Kombat film, we're taking a look back at all the movies and games of the Mortal Kombat franchise. Choose your mic. Together, you will be facing off against a gauntlet of films. 1995's Mortal Kombat, 1997's Mortal Kombat Annihilation, 2020's Mortal Kombat Scorpion's Revenge, and finally, this year's release of Mortal Kombat in theaters and on HBO Max on Friday, April 23rd, 2021. Go to probablywork.com for more information on how to submit to this or future seasons of the show and listen to the latest episodes of Podcasters Assemble. Mortal Podcast!
Hello everybody and welcome to a special bonus episode of the RPG After Years with myself, Bill. Hi, it's me again, the British guy. I started this show, now Scott's taken it over and runs it like a dictatorship, as was predicted at the beginning of time in that special tome that we found in the RPG world. Anyway, yes, welcome to a very special bonus episode called First Impressions. So, the reason for this episode is because I reached out to the media department of NIS America, who do games like Trails of Cold Steel and the Tales of games, and they also do the Disgaea games, and they've got some good RPG credentials behind them. But I reached out to them, was just like, hey man, if you've ever got any upcoming titles you want us to have a little poke at, maybe review early, go ahead. And so they sent me an early review code for one of their new games coming out soon, which is called World's End Club. So I'm going to be talking about that today, even though it's not an RPG, it's more of like an action side-scroller game. But yeah, it was just really nice of them to reach out to us and actually offer us, an advanced look at one of their games. So here I am to give you my first impressions on it. But first off, let's have a quick catch-up, shall we, people? So, I'm sure you're all dying to know what's Bill been up to. Hello, I'm Bill. So, obviously, RPG Club, World of Final Fantasy. So, Scott has officially extended the final segment of the game by another week because it was proving quite the challenge to get through this last segment of the game. And it does kind of feel like two different segments that we could have done at once, but still, I'm really still enjoying the game. I've already done the first part of the last segment, if that makes sense to people who have played it. I don't want to give any spoilers away yet, and so I'm on to like the second set of last missions, as it were, and I managed to grind out the fight against Odin, so I've just got a few more of those little bad boys to beat out before I finish off that game. But yeah, I am still very much enjoying World of Final Fantasy, and I plan on giving a special tea time for that episode to give my thoughts on the game, because I think it's going to be slightly different to what most people think of World of Final Fantasy. But I'm very much impressed with that game. I very much like it. So I've also been smashing my way through Disgaea 1. Now I'm playing, I think it's Hour of Darkness, which is the PSP version, and then the original is the PS2 version, which is Day of Darkness or something, and then you've got the Disgaea 1 complete available on the Switch. So this game is highly available all the way, anywhere you want to play it. And I'm not the biggest fan of strategy RPGs, but this game's beginning to get its claws into me, and I'm starting to smash through it all now. So I'm currently in Chapter 10 of the game. I've just done the Captain Gordon, the first set of Captain Gordon missions, and there's only 14 chapters in the game, so I don't think it'll be long till I finish that, and then I can move on to the next review game, which is the Japanese only release of Live Alive. Now, there is rumour mills going around, and there was I believe Square Enix trademarked the name Live Alive in Australia or somewhere weird like that. So people are fully expecting there to be an official Western localized release of this game. But oh boy, I'm so excited to play this game. I hear some very, very good things about Live Alive. So I'm excited to get to it. So, and that's kind of dragging my bottom through Disgaea at the moment. But, Disgaea is not a bad game. I can see why people like it. As I said a few times, I just don't think SRPGs are for me, really. So that's the only thing that's really holding me back on that one. But yeah, some good progress on the main list. Very, very good progress. And then there's also been Zelda 2. I need to get that. I need to get episode 4 edited and out into the wild, and then move on to episode 5, and then we can start picking our next game for the Super Switch Club. And guys, if you haven't heard of the Super Switch Club, then you're obviously not listening to my other podcast, Bill's JRPG Trappings and other... even I get the name of my podcast wrong. Bill's JRPG Adventures and Other Trappings. If you want to find it, just search for Bill's and JRPG in any podcasting app and you'll find me top of the list. So there you go. No excuses not to listen. But yeah, my Zelda 2 project is probably one of the best bits of podcasting I've ever done. Now, that's a very conjecturative statement, I think. And conjecturative is probably the wrong word as well. I don't even know if it even is a word. But it's just the amount of work and editing that goes into it. It's just... it's something I'm very, very proud of. Obviously, I'm very proud of this show and how it's developed and evolved over the years, especially since Scott's taken over with the guys. And yeah, I love it to bits. But from my point of view on the amount of work I've put into each episode, the Zelda 2 stuff I've been doing is phenomenal. And I think it really shows in the actual quality of the podcast. So even if you've got no interest in Zelda, even if you've got even less interest in Zelda 2, have a listen. It's a very unique thing. There's only one other podcast which has a similar style out there that I know of, which is called Podcasters Assemble, and you should also check that out. They do the same sort of format but with movies. I've just adapted it for games, and I think it works really well, and I'm super excited to start the Super Switch Club and start doing that with more games in the future, so you guys can feel free to check that out. And I think that's it really for my gaming, My kind of offbeat game that I've been trying to play is still Tales of Vesperia, and I am finding absolutely no time at all to play it. Oh, actually, there is one other game I've been playing. I've been playing Call of Duty Warzone. My mates got me into it, and now I'm a bit addicted. We like to play quad BR, and it's a bit of fun. But yeah, anyway, I won't talk about that. Yeah, let's not talk about that. So anyway, let's move on, shall we, people? Here are my first impressions of World's End Club on the Nintendo Switch.
If you had gone down the right path, history may have changed.
We've been kidnapped by some kind of crazy psycho! We need to get above ground.
The name's Penelope. Hang on tight, because you're all going to play a little game of fate for me. So, who will be victorious and get back to the surface?
So, I've never done a first impressions before. Troy does them a lot on his, Troy Tool Powers playthrough podcast, and I'm nervous. It's not kind of my normal thing, and I'm also a bit nervous in how much information I'm supposed to give away, spoiler-wise. Now, I can't give away too much in spoilers because I'm just like past the beginning sections of the game. I've been playing it for a fair old while. I'll say. Probably about 4 to 5 hours-ish so far. It's one of those games where you play through a good heavy segment at the beginning that's the tutorial, and then it will throw you in with a nice title sequence, and then you start playing after that. But yes, anyway, enough of that. So this game was, it's already out. You can play it on the Apple Arcade, I believe. So this is actually a mobile phone game. It's just now been updated and ported to the Nintendo Switch. But it's, again, even the one on Apple Arcade is still only an early access version to the game. And that's been out since September 4th, 2020. So a good long while. So it's taken a little while to finish polishing off this game. It is developed by NIS America. NIS, I think, is what people normally call that company. And they were the people who gave me the review code for the game. It was also developed by Inzaghi Games. It was developed by Two Coil Games Grounding. It was published by NCIS America worldwide and Inzaghi Games in Japan. It was developed by Katakuta Kuwada. God, I'm terrible at these type of names. And he's a novelist. He's known for his kind of recurring themes on hope and despair and things like that. And he likes to mix sort of tragedy with dark humour. As far as video games credential goes, he's worked on quite a few Dragon Ball games over the years, and the Dragon Romper games as well, which I hear very, very good things about. So he's got some good creds. So the game was originally announced way back in September 2018, and actually its original title was not World's End Club. It was going to be called a Death March Club. And then there was a trailer finally launched for it on September 4th, announcing that it was going to be a stealth drop on the Apple Arcade. Stealth drop. But it was originally it was announced for the PC, and then of course we've now got the upcoming Nintendo Switch release, which is going to be in Japan on May 27th and worldwide a day later on the 28th. Which should be when you're hearing this episode. Now, the actual Apple Arcade Early Access version has kind of got middling reviews. It's very much being sort of touted as an, kind of an action gameplay type thing. But, I don't think it's... I kind of give it a bit more props than that. I had my few frustrations with it, but I can see where that's come from it being an iOS game. So the game does have some very, very dark themes. So you're basically, you're kind of in charge. Like your main character is a guy called Ryucho, he's the nominated leader of this gang called the Go-Getters Club, which is a terrible, terrible name for a club. But all these kids seem to be very invested in it. And basically, you're on a school bus going on a school trip somewhere, and then you see something hit Tokyo. And it's a meteorite. Hits Tokyo, they all black out, and then they wake up in these pods in this weird underground, underwater amusement park. Very, very strange. And there's 11 of these school kids, and as I'm going to be working my way through the game, I'm going to be gradually using each of these characters, and they're all going to have a special ability, which is called the Buddy skill, which you kind of pick up as you go through the game. Now, so far, I've been playing for about 5 hours. I've only picked up 2 of these abilities. I've picked one up for my main character, Raichu, and I've picked up for one of the sub-characters who's called Mao-chan. who's got the Iron Chef buddy ability. Iron Chef! Ooh, cook me a cuttlefish, Kyle! I've only seen one episode of Iron Chef, and all they did was cook cuttlefish. So, yeah, apologies for that terrible, terrible accent. So, the game, the best way to describe it is it's very, very anime. It really leans heavily on probably every single anime trope you can think of. We've got a class of 11 kids here, and it's set in Japan. It's very, very Japanese anime tropes. You've got the fat kid who's got the Iron Chef ability, who's, he's considered a coward and always running away from things. You've got a little annoying girl with this weird hair that goes in a big sort of 2-room ping-pong thing above her head. You've got a geeky one who's really into this mecha robot program called Electric Raiders or something. Who's called Tucson. There's just a lot of them. I'll go through the characters in a minute, but there's a lot of them, and we're going to learn all the different abilities. And we're playing on I think the best way to describe it is if you've played Ni no Kuni, Wrath of the White Witch. It's not quite Studio Ghibli quality, but the backgrounds are very much in that type of style. You've kind of got that cel-shaded type look to it where things move around in the background, but it is a 2D platformer. Is also the best way to describe it. So you are in a 3D environment, but you can only move left and right, and you've got to jump, and then you've got your special abilities. And there is a small little puzzle so far, like pushing blocks around so you can get to the next area. It has been nothing too complicated. And as I said, it's very much at the beginning of the game. Now, one of my frustrations that I mentioned earlier with the game is it's very start and stop. I have spent most of my time in the game so far just pushing the A button to get through dialogue. And it's really annoying because it's fully voice acted as well. And they say like half a line, like, oh, should we go over there? And then you have to push A. And it's like, but over there looks stinky. And it's just like, why do I have to push A? It's voice acted. Just let that bit play out so I can just watch it. Or I can mash A to get through it quicker. Like, give me that option, please. It's so start, stop. And then you do like 10 seconds of gameplay where you move along, move a block, and then it's like, oh, look, there's something over there. And then it stops and everyone has a little conversation with their little anime tropes and their things going on. And that does get a little bit frustrating for me. But yeah, I can't really say much beyond that, to be honest with you, because that's all I've really done so far. And it is kind of cool. Like, you get to interact with things on the... You get to interact with things around you, and like I had to pour water on an electrical cable to stop a motor at one point, and I had to jump on these little bikes and then mash the Y button to speed along while people were chasing me. And it was, it's kind of cool, and I do like the way they're doing it. It's a very, very colourful game, but it is just like watching a child's anime. And yeah, I'm just going to go through the characters at this point, just to introduce you to them. So the little girl character that I said that's got this weird big pigtail thing kind of reminds me a lot of the girl from Grandia. Is it Sue? Yeah, Sue from Grandia. That's what she kind of looks like. And apparently she's got an S-type personality, which I don't even know what that means. And she can't handle spicy food. Yeah, you're getting a feel for this now. And then there's Mao-chan, who I mentioned, the Iron Chef. So his special ability means his body turns into a big iron ball, which then rolls around, sending enemies flying and breaking obstacles. Yeah, and he's quite... I quite enjoy Mao-chan so far. He's been a bit of a pussy, but he's coming out of his shell slowly. His Iron Chef shell. There's Kansai, who I absolutely can't stand. He's always shouting. He seems to think he's the leader of the Go-Getters Club, but actually your character Richu, for some reason, has been nominated, and your character's a transfer student. Yeah, let's sprinkle some tropes. Can you hear that? I'm sprinkling tropes all over this game. Kansai he's got a yellow shirt and a hat, and he's highly strung, emotional, and always desperately trying to become like the leader he admires. Oh, yes. Vanilla, she's an airhead, and yeah, I'm not going to say anything more about that. She seems like she's supposed to be the love interest in this at some point, but she is just bonkers airhead, not a brain cell going on there. Tata-san, who's well behaved to a fault, and he's the guy who really likes the superhero program that they've got, Electric Robots or something it's called. You've also got Naroyo, who's she is a logical thinker who's calm in a pinch. She shows a wolf when thinking about her friends. Anarchy, who's the brother of the airhead Vanilla, and he's the lone wolf, rarely opens up to anyone. Very angsty character. Then you've got your Genu, who's strong and mature and very much acts as the guardian of the group. You've got Poochie, who's basically always playing a Nintendo Switch. Although he's not playing a Switch because this game is set in 1995. Important to note that. And then you've got Pi, who's really soft and squishy. And she seems to think she's got some sort of mental ability. So I assume that's going to unlock some sort of psychic power once I get to her bit. And then finally, Riicho, who is your main character. And his buddy skill is the big league pitcher, because baseball is huge in Japan. So obviously, baseball tropes, more sprinkling onto the game. Yes, basically, he can pick things up and throw them really hard and fast. So very, very basic game to start with so far. Now, I've joked around about how tropey the game is with the characters, and they are very, very tropey. They are all playing to their character type in the game. But as I said with Mao-chan, and Riichu as well, your main character, is a silent protagonist. He never utters a single word, and even when he asks questions, you just kind of have to guess what he's asking, because people just answer. You know, you get a little ... question mark, and then they go, "But why did you say that?" And it's just like, what did he say? But yeah, it's interesting. I kind of like that blank protagonist thing. But yeah, and it's weird that everyone looks up to him. But at the same time, I'm beginning to find myself slowly getting endeared to the characters, as always happens when you watch too much of one episode of anime. You can be like, okay, I like this set of characters. This set of characters annoyed the hell out of me. 3 episodes later, okay, I love those characters who annoy the hell out of me. Everyone else is a bit bland. And it's just that's how that works. Don't know why. It's just the addiction of anime, I think, is the best way of describing it. So, what's actually going on in World's End Club? I'm sure you're all dying to know that question, considering none of you have played this game, apart from possibly Rob, who's like the only person I know with Apple Arcade. As I said, you're on a school trip. Everyone's watching this really weird program, which is basically it's so dark. Like, the feel of this game feels like it's being aimed at maybe 8 to 10 to 12-year-olds with the animation style, the way the game looks. The fact that it's quite simple as well. Like, there isn't a lot of complexity going on with the gameplay. Now, I mean, admittedly, I'm only at the beginning of the game, but it still feels very, very simplistic. And again, the stop-start thing really bugs me, but it's fine. But the story is really, really dark. So it actually starts you at the end of the game. You're about to get into the boss room and fight the end boss. Something turns up and kicks you out, and then it's just a weird message about rewriting history. And it's a bit like, oh, okay. I'm just going to have to forget all of that stuff until I get to the end of the game. But in the meantime, we go back to them on the bus. They're watching this really dark program where there's this little floating Harley Quinn type character. Imagine if Harley Quinn was a Pokemon. I think that's the best way of describing her. Called Pinello. Yeah, and that's how she pronounces it, and that's how it's written. Pinello. There's an extra I in there for Pinello. And yeah, she's torturing these school kids and giving some deposition about, it's proper battle royale style sort of stuff. And then meteor hits, the bus goes flying, and then all the kids wake up out of these little test tube things, and they're in this underground amusement park. And then, yeah, this Pinello thing from the TV screen just turns up and is just like, hey, it's time to play a game of fate. And it goes full battle royale. So, not quite, necklace round the neck, go kill each other. But you're wearing wristbands, and on your wristband is a task for one of the other students. Your job, or the goal of the game of fates, is to complete your task. But how do you complete your task? Every single one of them has got the task for another character on their wrist, and only one person will survive. And if you don't complete your task, or if you fail your task, you will also die. You'll get eaten by this sludge robot. And the winner gets a magical key, which will let them out and into the world. So, very much like Battle Royale or like Saw. And like one of them is don't bleed until there's 7 minutes left. There's an hour time limit, by the way, for this. And so you can't bleed until there's 7 minutes left. Or the one on your wrist is for Vanilla, the airhead, and it's just like Vanilla has to eat a marshmallow. So if you show that to Vanilla and she goes eat a marshmallow, she's going to win, she's going to get the magic key, everyone else is going to die. So it puts in that thing where you want to then start taking out the competition. And the lone wolf guy really starts this off by trying to trick your main character. And so you're kind of sitting there thinking, okay, first thing I'm going to do is run away from the lone wolf guy. And then you witness one of the girls go to the little geeky boy. Let's see if I can get this right. So it's Noruyu. She says to Tata-san, come on, show me your wristband, I'll show you mine, we can definitely trust each other. And so he goes, okay. And he looks at her wristband and he goes, oh, it's my task. And he goes, don't show your wristband to anyone else until there's 8 minutes left. And it's just like, but you've just shown your wristband to Naru. And then the sludge monster just suddenly rips him out of the sky and eats him. It's just like, wow, this game is getting dark. And I kind of really liked it. I liked the fact it was so dark. And so suddenly, one by one, everyone was taking everyone out until eventually you found out what your task is. And it came down to you, the lone wolf character, Aniki, and Vanilla. And your task was you had to hug one of the boys. That was it. You had to hug one of the boys. So you basically end up having to chase after Aniki to hug him, which he hates because he's a lone wolf. And then once you win and you get the magic key, you're faced with the option of leaving. But you change your mind and you use the magic key, which can only be used once on any item to open up the sludge monster. And lo and behold, your friends haven't been turned into sludge, they're just sitting inside. So you release them all. It was, like I say, it was very, very dark in tone. Like, I'd definitely put this game, age it in the 16 plus range. Just because of the themes that are going on there. But it was very, very dark. But it was kind of fun. You got to learn about it. Again, my only gripe is this is too much sort of story and milling about and leaning on the anime tropes rather than the actual gameplay itself. I'd love to be there to be more gameplay. But anyway, you finally get out of this thing and then you're actually in Japan, but you're nowhere near Tokyo. You're kind of on the very southern tip. I can't remember what the name of the place is. It's like something with a K. And it's completely deserted. And suddenly it goes all day of the Triffids. There are these big plants knocking around that are trying to eat you and these weird dog creatures. And you start using your new abilities. And then Mao-chan learns his new ability, the Iron Chef thing, where he turns into a big iron ball and then you can roll things out of the way. And then the next thing, then go on to the next level and there's some giant bugs. So it really feels like it's leaning upon like some very dark, apocalyptic type movies. At the moment, there's like no adults in the world. It's only you. And you, as a group, have decided to go to Tokyo. But also as a group, you can't decide how to get there. So you've now split into two teams. One of them's going to a town in the north to look for adults. And one of them's going to a smaller town in the west to actually... because it's the shortest route to get back to Tokyo. Because they're all a bit like, well, did the meteor hit Tokyo? It looked like it. Should we go find out what happened in Tokyo, which is where we all come from? And that's kind of the basics of what's now going on with the story. We as a team are heading off to Tokyo to investigate the meteor. But there are no adults in the world. There are big giant plants trying to eat us. There are huge, wood lice creatures, roly-polies they call them, which are trying to also take you out. And yeah, it is very interesting. The story is definitely gripping me quite a bit, I'll have to say. I just wish it would give you more time. That's it. That's my only gripe, okay? Just give me a good, solid bit with the gameplay. With puzzles, jumping, climbing. It's a platform game, I'm thinking like Metroidvania, Lara Croft, although that's a 3D one. But, Crash Bandicoot, it's just, you want a level where you just have a good, 10, 15 minute run through a level. I assume it's going to come, but at the moment it just feels like you sort of do 10, 20, 30 seconds, 2 minutes of stuff, and then it's broken up by a cutscene. But I can see why they'd do that if it's on iOS. But yeah, anyway. I think, yeah, as a first impression of World's End Club, you have to, I think if you're not into anime, you're not going to enjoy this game too much. This is very much aimed at a Japanese market. But I do like anime. So I am slowly beginning to like all these characters. It's a lot having so many characters to start with in the game and have to get used to them all and all the different quirks and everything. And I think that's kind of, again, that's probably one of the reasons why the gameplay is quite stunted at the beginning, because they're throwing all that at you. But it's enjoyable and it's dark. I like the dark themes in the game. Battle Royale is probably one of my favourite films of all time. I just absolutely love that a bit. Day of the Triffids is something I used to watch when I was younger with my dad. I do like those type of movies, and the old zombie apocalyptic movies. They're very, right up my alley. And this is a good mixture of those titles. And yeah, I just like the style. It's very bright, very colourful, and I am enjoying it. And also, so far, not too much of a challenge. I like games that aren't too much of a challenge because then it doesn't take me too long to beat them. But yeah, if you've got the iOS Arcade app, go check this out. And otherwise, look forward to it coming out today, if you're listening to this on the release day. Yeah, I think it's a very intriguing game, and I can't wait to get further into it and find out more about the story. The story is what's key here. I very much like the way the director's going with it. Although, just make it flow a bit better. Come on, it needs a bit of flow. That's all I'm going to say there. Right, okay then, guys. That brings an end to my first impressions of the World End Club. Well, I hope you enjoyed that. I was kind of nervous. I've not done a first impressions before, and like I said, it was very, very nice of NIS America to provide me with a review code for the Switch, so that I can get this out to you day one. It's very nervous. Never done that sort of thing before. I don't want to bag on it too much because I'm not that far into it. I haven't played enough of the game to feel like I can really trash or love it too much. But I think it definitely has its positives. Definitely, the storyline is very dark and gritty, and it contrasts really strangely with the light airiness of the anime school kids characters that you're playing with. But I kind of like it. It's good. But yeah, I want to play more of the puzzling gameplay. I want to get into that more. So I may do a follow up in the future, and I'll probably do a bonus episode for the patrons once I finish it for a review, because it's not an RPG, so I can't actually officially review it. Anyway, alright guys, well, it's been lovely talking to you. I hope you've enjoyed this little impromptu bonus episode, and I will see you all soon for the Disgaea 1 review, Hour of Darkness, or something dark side. Alright guys, love you lots. I'll speak to you soon. Just is. It's like crack. You know, you keep looking at it, keep smoking it, and you're going to really love it eventually. I do not recommend smoking crack. I'm going to delete that from the episode.
This has been a presentation
of the We Can Make This Work
Probably Network.
Follow us on Twitter
at Probably Work
for more of our questionable content.
Also, we have a website called probablywork.com.